It's a touchdown there. 2-point conversion fails. It's 28-18. We'll get to the 2-point conversions, Brian Broaddus. I know that's something you wanted to point out. Defense then comes out, forces a 3-and-out. Ravens have to punt. Cowboys have another chance. They go right down the field, 11 plays, 91 yards in 2 minutes and 33 seconds, culminating in a Dak Prescott 16-yard touchdown to Kevontae Turpin. It's 28-25. Thinking, why don't the Cowboys go for another onside kick there? They couldn't. They went for 2 already. With the new league rules, you're only allowed 2 attempts now. The Cowboys were not able to go for another onside kick there. So you're hoping, okay, let's try and play some defense. They just gotten a stop. They were not able to do so. Baltimore converting a 3rd down and 6. Lamar Jackson finding Zay Flowers on Trayvon Diggs for 9 yards, and that was the final first down of the game. All she wrote there. Lamar Jackson also running for 10 yards to ice it. Baltimore able to hold on 28-25. A rally they didn't just lay down this week. They made it interesting in the fourth quarter, but I don't know that erases the majority of the game that was pretty gross.
No, it was. It was a you knew going into this game that it was going to be difficult to stop Lamar Jackson with him running the football. You look at the way the running back situation was. I thought the Ravens did a hell of a job of running the football on your defense. And, you thought that, hey, the key to this game would be how to keep your linebackers clean. I don't think the linebackers particularly had a really good game in this one either. So, this is one of those things. And you mentioned the 2-point plays, probably 2 of the worst 2-point plays that I've seen called. Sprint right option right there. Really don't give yourself much room on that first one to throw the ball. That to me was very much that's not even a 50-50 play over there, with that situation. And then with Dak trying to throw the ball into the middle of the deep, really nothing, no creative, nothing to get your guy open. Quarterback just, hey, go make a play there, and of course they don't make the play. So, that's preparation right there. That's execution right there. It's really, really kind of where this whole thing has been, the last 2 weeks. Preparation, execution, not good enough for this football team.
Yeah, well, we'll get to the defense, and, of course, your calls, your texts, 877-881-1053. That's 877-881-1053. Your calls, your texts. We'll also hear from Mike McCarthy. We'll hear from Dak Prescott, the voice of the Cowboys, Brad Shamar, Cowboys insider Bobby Belton. We'll get some tape from the locker room as well, so just be patient. I know I'm going to try and get to all of your phone calls as well, but we do have some moving parts. But, offensively, when we're talking about it there, they really struggled through 3 quarters, and you mentioned it. Really just a stagnant offense.
It was,
and no separation. Hey, I understand you're looking, it's like you're trying to ask Dak Prescott to play at a superhuman level.
He wasn't great,
but he wasn't either.
No, he was not great. No. And you need him to, at times, be great. And, does he overcome some of the things with the offense, some of the play calling? Sure. But, they really, and it's funny, they actually ran the ball decently in this game. I was surprised how much success that they have. I would give Dowdle a lot of credit for the toughness that he showed in this game. It seemed to attack the middle of this Raven defense, which is, I think, the strength of it right now when you look at the way they didn't protect particularly well. At the end of the game, they were able to get some throws off. The receivers found made some plays. 2-point plays, as I mentioned, were bad, but that was far, far too late in this football game. You had Lamb had the fumble.
That was huge.
That was a huge play. Their inability to get anything really going. It seemed like that every time it was just a struggle to even try and get a first down. And I know the Ravens are a pretty good defense. They had been struggling up to this point, but my gosh, that offense really had no teeth to it until the last, last part of the third quarter and then into the fourth.
One theme is the Cowboys stress complementary football.
Yeah.
It might be something you even hear Mike McCarthy or Dak talk about in the postgame here today. And, that's sometimes when the defense isn't playing well, the offense needs to lift them up, vice versa. Your defense, after just getting absolutely run through on the opening drive, you kick a field goal, then the Ravens go right down the field again. They score. It's 14-3. So you're looking, you're like, okay, offense, you're going to need to keep track here. Okay, you're going to need to keep pace. That's the complementary football. They had a good drive going, and you mentioned it, the CeeDee Lamb fumble at the Baltimore 9-yard line,
huge.
Especially when they rally and cut the game to 3. That one lingers. That stings. Then your defense was able to force a couple of punts, but offensively, you answer by going 3 and out yourself, and then you get 1 first down, and you punt it as well until Baltimore scores before the half to make it 21-3. So there's just not that balance and cohesion, offense, defense. Finally, the defense steps up. Offense can't do anything with it. Offense is driving. There's a crucial penalty. The pre-snap penalties were bad, and the fumble was a killer as well.
Yeah, you look at what was going on here for the Cowboys defense, and we were worried about the running game or the run defense going in. With Derrick Henry finding a way, he gets 151 yards. Jackson with a dagger run. We kind of felt like that they were going to try. Looked like they were going to try the jet sweep, the fake, the ball handling. Jackson 14 carries, 87 yards. Dallas didn't have an answer for the run defense today and that's what's getting. And we were talking about, is it the line? Is it the linebackers? Is it the secondary? Boy, I tell you what, though, you could throw a blanket over this one today. I mean, Dallas's linebackers have got to play better in run defense, and they didn't today. And their defensive line didn't play better in run defense. And, and hey, what did they do? The third down pass, they went at Diggs. Diggs tried to drive on the ball, couldn't knock it out right there. That's Zay Flowers. Their guys made plays today. They deserve to win that football game, even though they tried to play the Ravens where they completely fall apart and give the game to you in the fourth.
Yeah, the Ravens have blown a ton of double-digit leads, and they certainly made things nervous for their fans in that fourth quarter as the Cowboys rallied. Dak finishing with 379 yards and a couple of touchdowns. But you mentioned the run defense, 151 yards, 6 yards a carry for Derrick Henry, a couple of touchdowns. He had chunk runs, too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a 29-yarder. There's a third down. Cowboys have an opportunity to get off the field. I think it's 3rd and 2. Henry breaks a 26-yard run off for a first down. Lamar, 14 carries, 87 yards and a touchdown. He had a long of 16. And he really early on, I'm looking over at you, he had Micah Parsons frozen. I mean, Micah was not sure what he was really supposed to do when it came to defending Lamar Jackson, and then Zim tried to move him around a little bit.
Yeah, we saw what happened when Micah Parsons was playing against the Eagles with Jalen Hurts a couple different times on those read option things.
Yeah.
The indecision, do I close? Do I stay wide? It's a struggle. It's a struggle to have to deal with this defense, but the running of the Ravens was just, to me, was devastating. You get another game here, second week in a row where a quarterback throws the ball, 15 times in this game, and end up with the way it ends up with the win. That's just they didn't make him have to throw nearly enough. The running game was just what won this for the Ravens.
Yeah, 12 of 15, 182 yards through the air and a touchdown. And then the altercation, which became a pretty big topic there on Cowboys Twitter right before the half. You had CeeDee Lamb visibly upset.
Yeah.
I've heard some people say he was pouting. I don't know. I mean, if you think he was pouting, I think he was frustrated. I'm okay with that. This is an NFL game, right? You're allowed to have emotion and frustration. I think that's totally okay. CeeDee had a massive fumble. But if you're going to cheer him when he has 10 catches and 150 yards and a touchdown, I'm not going to crucify him when he has a big fumble, okay? That's one that is on him. He needs to be better. But at that point, the offense had done nothing. He was targeted 3 times, had 3 catches for 58 yards. He was really the only guy that consistently, it seemed like, could get the football and do anything with it. So I understand him when he's running open being frustrated. I think it's okay. It's the same media-driven narrative that people wanted to throw on Dez Bryant when they thought he was screaming at Tony Romo, and that wasn't the case. I'm okay with a little animation on the sideline. Damn, it's about time somebody on the Cowboys actually showed something.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we'll figure out exactly what was said on the sidelines and stuff like that. And it seemed like to me, I'd seen the kind of the tail end of that. Everybody was kind of, Dak was there, and
Zach
Ferguson
Martin was there.
Everybody was there, kind of trying to kind of iron things out. But yeah, that was, you're talking about the offense the whole day up until the third period or the third quarter was just, it was awful. It really, really was. You just could not. There was no rhythm to it. There was no, it seemed like to me it's run. Oh, let's try the waggle. Oh, it seems like it's the run and then the waggle. And the Ravens covered the waggle all day today. You didn't have any opportunities to make any of those throws. And Mike, that's kind of a crutch call for him. And but they were bad overall today. And like I said, the Ravens at the very end tried to do what the Ravens do, give away a game. and you just couldn't get a stop on third down when you needed to get the ball back and maybe have a chance to win that game.
Yeah, and hey, I get it. When it comes to the CeeDee Lamb criticism, had a bad drop and the fumble.
Yep.
And he needs to wear those.
Yep.
It's not that CD is void of any blame. But I don't have an issue with it, and I don't agree 2-4. If Dak did that, I'd side with the player too. I'm okay with that. Guys, this happens. Troy Aikman has a viral clip in the late 90s that everybody loves to play in the offseason when you're frustrated about the Cowboys. Where's this? Where is this? Who on the team does this? So CD did it, and now you want to whine about it. I'm just not going to side that way, but if you want to, we can agree to disagree on that. I'm going to side with the player there. I'm okay with the guy who wants to win and wants the football. That's totally fine with me. 877-881-1053. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Tolo, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus live from the Miller Lite Club, 28-25. Cowboys comeback falls just short. Mike McCarthy talking to the media right now. We'll hear from Coach. We'll also hear from Dak Prescott. Brad Sham will be here momentarily as well. But let's try and sneak in a call or two if we can before break. We'll hit the phones here on the official Cowboys postgame show, 877-881-1053. Let's go to Coach D in Lancaster. What's going on, Coach?
Coach, we can't hear you at all.
We might need you to call back, Coach. It might just be a bad line.
Yeah, bad line there. We couldn't hear you at all.
All right, let's go to 3D Tolo in Carrollton. What's going on?
Yes, sir. Zach said it. Michael looked so confused. I don't know if he was overthinking it or what. On the delay from Jackson, Michael looked so, dare I say, scared. And Lamar is laughing at him pretty much the whole game. The two throws at the end of the first quarter, Tom Brady called it seed throws, 8+ catches. The play before that, Zeke looked so slow. Should have been Deuce on the toss to the outside. Dang, Tom Brady is doing so much better. CeeDee Lamb, $30 million wide receiver who fumbles the ball, down 14-3, secure the ball. Second time I heard Tom Brady yawn on live TV. on the first time defense got to stop, that's whenever he yawns.
Yeah.
Isn't it a flag when you take off your helmet?
It is. I'm glad you brought that up, 3D Tolo.
Quarter, Carson flexing when they are getting embarrassed, shake my head.
Yeah.
They need to go back to only the three different packages the defense said they had in the first game. On the almost interception.
I love the list.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
He's got the list down.
Yeah,
but
thank
you mentioned that when we were up in the booth there, Brian. After that, a Raven takes his helmet off. That is a penalty.
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty right there. I mean, it's unsportsmanlike conduct, and that was, Hamilton took his helmet off. I mean, he ripped his helmet off right there in the field. Ron Torbert and his crew, they seem to call every other penalty today. I thought both teams got worked on penalties, but, they missed that one opportunity, and I'm surprised they didn't call it.
650. I'm not willing to drag CD for his attitude, but you defending him is a bleep. What the heck are you talking about? The same thing you are.
Yeah.
If you're not going to drag CD for his attitude, that's simply what I'm talking about. He absolutely deserves criticism for the fumble and the drops. But I'm not going to make a big deal over getting emotional on the sidelines and having a little confrontation with your quarterback when things aren't going well on offense. I'm glad to see somebody's got a pulse at times when this thing gets down and ugly for that football team. That's exactly what I'm talking about, 602. All right, we'll get back to your calls, 877-881-1053. Cowboys fall to 1-2 on the season. Ravens get their first win of the season. We'll hear from Coach McCarthy. We'll get Brad Sham, Bobby Belt, your calls and texts. Post-game show brought to you by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard is a reason to celebrate. If any
the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. WinStar World Casino and Resort, proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Sleep Number. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
At the 9, first down, fake inside. Jackson runs it to the left and trots in. Just walks the dog into the garden, through the picket fence. Nice block from Kolar. Ravens score first.
Yeah, the Ravens got on the board after the Cowboys took the opening kick this time. They did not defer to the second half. Izzy Mukuamu going out there, you heard it on the ref mic, hey, give us the bleeping football.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately the Cowboys on offense had to punt. Baltimore takes their opening drive right down the field. Lamar Jackson with a 9-yard touchdown run. 28-25, Ravens hold off a fourth-quarter Cowboys rally. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus in the Miller Lite Club postgame show. Brought to you by, you just cheered here for America's team on the field. Now see them on the reels, baby. Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat. Now at a casino near you. Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. And if you have a gambling problem, please contact 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over. 877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text. You did mention the defense, though, Brian. And yet again, I mean, there was at one point, courtesy of our guy, Bobby Bell, Baltimore had run the ball 10 straight times for 107 yards. I mean, if you can't stop the run, and this team doesn't figure out a way to do it, now today was going to be an extremely tough task because of the ability of Lamar Jackson. So we kind of expected this to be tough sledding today. But goodness gracious, it's not really going to bode well against some of the better teams in the NFL moving forward.
No, it won't. And you gave up a 30-yard play to Charlie Kolar. You gave up a 56-yard play to Nelson Aguilar today. You know? Those are the kinds of things that you cannot have happen in these football games. You know, you can get by with the Derrick Henrys. You can get by with the Lamar Jackson. And it's difficult to do. It really is. Defending Lamar Jackson is so difficult because of his ability to run and his ability as a ball handler. We saw that on the last drive of the game. His ability to pull the ball and run right there. You know, those are the things you have to deal with. And we saw what happened with Micah Parsons, the indecision that this guy makes you play with. There's a reason why this guy's a 2-time MVP. You know, he hasn't had playoff success, but that's a good football team. That's a team that probably shouldn't be 0-2. But you went out there today, you didn't play run defense particularly well, and you gave up some big chunk plays, explosive plays. The last 2 weeks, that has been a huge problem for your team.
Yeah, it's been bad. And you look at the running yardage here for Henry, 25 carries, 151 yards. Lamar was doing it. Again, I mean, I think in there's, I've seen some people reach out, like Micah and Tank got into it as well. When you look at Micah Parsons, and I think, we all have expectations as he does, Defensive Player of the Year potential. The last 2 weeks, he's been relatively neutralized.
He has.
And I think definitely early in the game, I mean, I'm looking at you and thinking this might be the worst game we've seen Micah play.
Yep.
Because he was frozen by Lamar. Was he keeping it? Then he's over pursuing, trying to attack the running back. Then Lamar ends up keeping it, so there's nobody on the outside to play the edge. I mean, I don't really know the answer to this. But I think you've got to kind of look at, I don't think they can play successful run defense if a team wants to challenge them with him just playing stationary, stand on the ground defensive end.
Yeah.
To me, teams are looking at that and saying, we're going to run at you, and you're not really able to sustain and stop it.
Right. Anything to make him have to slow down. What's his game built on? Speed, quickness, getting off the football, attacking. You make Micah Parsons have to have a little indecision, then that's going to slow him up from getting to the ball. And we've seen it before with, like I mentioned, with the Eagles at one time, and now we saw it today here against the Ravens when you're dealing with a team that plays that with that RPO style of offense.
So would you, I mean, and Zim did, and we talked about it, he tried to move him around a little bit.
Yeah.
The last third down, Micah ends up being inside. He's going up against the guard, and then they also had, of course, a back there as well to help with the block. And then Zay Flowers gets open on Trayvon Diggs. But there's got to be a way to try and get him to be more effective, or else is his skill set just limited? And it's bizarre to be talking about this because that
in
times
what
he
way
looks
do you
like the
mean
best
he's
defensive player in the league.
Limited with the skill set?
I don't look at the best defensive players in football and seeing them get completely taken out of a game quite like we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Sure. I think he gets taken out of the game because the fact that as a whole, their run defense is awful. It is awful. And what happens is you're chasing that. I'm not sitting here trying to defend it. I'm just saying, as a defense, as a front seven, they're in a situation right now where if I'm playing the Dallas Cowboys, I load up and just say, I'm going to try and run the ball. The last 2 weeks, I mentioned the quarterbacks have thrown they've thrown for less than 20 attempts.
Yeah, they don't have to.
They don't have to. They don't have to throw the football. And I think, is Micah Parsons part of the bad run defense? He absolutely is. But this team is built to rush the passer, and when they don't rush the passer, that's a big problem.
Now with the losses that they've had this offseason, I don't know, Brian, that we can even say that they're built to rush the passer. I think they got one guy. Who else is really being able to, if they need to? And again, I guess we haven't really been able to see it the last couple of games.
When has somebody thrown?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You've the last 2
weeks.
weeks.
6, now they're throwing. The only guy that got close was Micah. There wasn't rush coming from anybody else. Games on the line.
How did they get off the field, though, when they did have opportunities? By pass rush, right? Pressure. Incomplete passes and stuff like that. That's how they got off the field today.
Yeah.
They didn't get they got off the field the one time with the Ravens. It was 4th and 1, and they tried to draw you off sides, right?
They just punted.
And you looked at me and said, "Damn, I'd have gone for it there.
Yeah,
you're going to stop them." So to me, this team is built to play to rush the passer, and if it means rushing it with Micah and rushing it with Tank, that's what they're built with. But right now, playing run defense, I wouldn't even attempt to throw the football against these guys, because to me it's just hand somebody the ball. It's going to be it's 6 yards a carry. 6.1 today a carry.
You had over 6 yards for both Derrick Henry and Lamar. And Lamar is a different beast.
Yeah.
But certainly it's demoralizing. And we've talked with guys like Mark Schlereth about that on the flagship 105.3 The Fan, on our show on the G-Bag Nation. It's demoralizing as a team to have that happen to you. And I don't know, as the season goes along, it's 3 games.
Yeah.
Is it something that you see can be corrected?
I tell you what, it's going to be really, really tough. My suggestion was to find a way to keep the linebackers free. I'm interested to see tomorrow morning how free the linebackers were. Were they overrunning plays? Were they getting blocked again? I thought last week it was like these offensive linemen did not even respect your down linemen. They were going up on guys, and I was wondering if today maybe we saw a little bit of the same thing. If they had a chance to make plays and they didn't make plays, well, then the front seven of this defense has been it's a struggle that way.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Joined now by the legendary voice of your Cowboys, Brad Sham.
Easy with the legendary stuff.
Well, I believe you are, sir.
Thank you so much.
But this one got interesting in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Was the fun fourth quarter on offense enough to kind of gloss over the rough 3 quarters?
Well, yes and no. I don't think that. I think there is some value in rallying and coming that close because they were dead. They were lifeless. And so there's benefit for that if you can carry it over. And some of my evidence for that I would offer as evidence the C.D. Lamb fumble.
Yeah.
That just changed everything. Now, mathematically it shouldn't, but it does. Emotionally it does. Psychologically it does. So I think offensively you can get something. Look, this is a good team. They haven't played great, but this is a good team. Almost beat the world champs first week, AFC Championship last year. This is a good team. Hard to run on. Damn near impossible to run on. So you've got to find other things to do. maybe they found something in like a no huddle and just play that way for a while. But I think there's value in that. And that does not, I hope, Zach, this addresses your question, that does not cover over the run defense in the first. So the first 2 drives, horrible. Now the defense rallies, and stops them and gets the ball back. They couldn't get anywhere near a turnover.
Right.
And, Jackson's really unusual. I don't think there's anybody like him in the league. But the thing that Brian was just talking about how the Saints just really kind of didn't have any regard for the line of scrimmage people last week, I think that's irrefutable. All you have to do is watch the tape.
Yeah.
So there's some of that. And, I called Mozzie Smith's name a couple of times today.
Yeah.
I think that over time, give Watkins a little time. I think he can be better than Phillips was. And I said during the broadcast, if you have very much more of this, you may just have to say to yourself, you'd never say it out loud, you may just have to say to yourself that our players aren't good enough.
Yeah, I think to me, Brad, when you look at the situation, and I'm not trying to knee-jerk this thing through week 3, but there is something clearly wrong with your run defense, whether it's the fits, whether it's the finish, whether it's, Brian Broaddus over-evaluated the linebackers and feel like that Overshown can make every tackle and Kendricks can make every tackle and Clark can make every tackle and Leofau can make every tackle. Maybe that's just not reality.
Well, they can make a lot of tackles, but you just don't want them to be 5 yards upfield every time.
Right.
I think it starts at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
And they have just got to be stouter at the point of attack so that the linebackers can get up there and make some plays.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean linebacker. I thought Damone Clark was terrible last week. I'll be interested to see. It looked like he was a little better today. I mean, I think it was good that they had Overshown on the field more. I'm loath to argue scheme and substitution patterns with Mike Zimmer, but if you think that Overshown is one of your best players and you don't have him in base defense and the other team puts you in base, then you've just taken one of your better players off the field. So you've got to figure that out. Now, coaches can work on substitution patterns and tweak them. They can work on scheme and fits and that kind of stuff. Okay, look, it's 2 steps.
Yeah.
You move over 2 steps, we're going to rethink this. If the players aren't good enough, and I'm talking mostly about the interior, and I leave Osa out of this, I think he's an excellent player. But if your front players aren't good enough, then there's nothing you can do about that right now. So that's why you have to try to scheme it and trick it up, and that's why they're getting paid millions of dollars to look at it and figure it out.
Brad, I kind of felt like watching the offense today that we're just fighting for every yard we can get.
You know what?
Nothing comes easy for this offense. It is a hope, and it kind of is a, wow, somebody made a great play there, and then the next 2 plays or 3 plays, it's like, what's going on here?
It's also a lot of pre-snap penalties that seem to kind of...
First possession for sure, just killed it.
I mean, that's a killer.
Just killed it. And then so that's first possession is the penalties.
Right.
And then the second possession is the fumble. And then Guyton had a big penalty that overturned a huge game.
Yeah, the pass interference down on the 2-yard line. Yeah.
And what keeps coming back to my mind is last year, for the first 4 or 5 weeks, they just didn't look right. They didn't look like anything fit. And Cooks wasn't happy, but he wouldn't say it. And Lamb wasn't happy, and he did say it. And they went into the bye after week 6. And when they came out of the bye, the whole offense was different.
Right.
And I don't know what they did. And they might say, we didn't do anything, we just played better. I don't know if that's right. But so this is my glass is half full right now.
Sure.
It's week 3. You've played. There were some good things today. But, you've played poorly for 2 weeks.
I think so.
Give me a win on Thursday. You've got to dig deep, find it in yourself to give me a win on Thursday. Now you're even. Now dig deep again and get me a win in Pittsburgh. And now if you come home and lose to what's probably a superior Detroit team, you are even at 3-3 going into what? The bye.
The bye.
So I used last year as a template. And we know that things can be done, but as I yelled at you last year and this year is not the same team.
No, but I do agree with that overall. We saw that last year, and this offense is definitely showing some characteristics, the lack of really separation, maybe with the routes. It's just, third down, we're throwing a check down out to Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, it wasn't exactly a great ball. It's 2nd and 20, you're running a draw. I mean, there are just things, it's like, oof. When you're down like that, I'm with you. I do want to ask you about CD, though.
Hold on. Let me just say this. And then it's easy for us to say that.
Yeah.
We don't know what the quarterback is seeing when he does.
That's fair.
When
he might
he
have
checks
checked
it down,
out.
when he calls a draw, we don't know what he's seeing. And it might be that was the smartest thing he could do.
He could have. I mean, that might have been a Dak killing
It's frustrating to watch.
I kind of felt like on a 3rd and 18 that they had a chance to complete it or run for it or do something.
Right.
See, that's to me the difference right now is that, you watch, and the Ravens have got a damn good running game. I mean, that is impressive what they do running the football. And it takes so much pressure off their quarterback.
It does.
To play that way. But to me, I just felt like as the game was going on, I'm like going, that was a nice play. That was a good play call. I like that. Boy, the bump, 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 bump down the field kind of a thing. And I just feel like that we're just shoe to shoe and trying, and it's just such a struggle.
Just like last year.
And I don't know if I don't know if it's the quarterback. I don't know if it's the receivers. I don't know if it's the line. I don't know if it's the play caller. But it just seems like you are fighting for every inch, and it's not coming easy. And it's not going to come easy against the Ravens. But there were some opportunities I thought that were probably missed.
Well,
in this
if you
game.
watch, and I know you did, anybody who watched the tape of the Ravens game with the Raiders, what's frustrating is there are plays to be made against them in the passing game.
No question.
And the Raiders made them, and they made them in Baltimore.
Absolutely.
No, Brandon Cooks, it seemed like beat Brandon Stevens. That could have been possibly a home run type of ball. And CD showing frustration. I mean, that's become definitely a storyline. I know it was right before half. We were in there with you, and CD kind of had a moment with Dak and Zach Martin. Do you have an issue with this? Because I personally don't. I like a little bit of emotion and fire in a player in CD that I think wants to win, and he's frustrated when the offense isn't doing well. The fumble and the drops, that's on him. That deserves criticism. But I don't have an issue with him getting animated on the sideline.
Did you see what happened in the Philadelphia game?
Yes,
Jalen Carter.
Jalen Carter and Nick Sirianni.
Carter wanted to fight the whole Saints team, and it took 4 of them, including Dom, to settle him down. The reason that I am like you, Zach, and I don't have a problem with it is fans don't see the sideline for 60 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And if they did, they would be surprised to see how much of that goes on all the time. Now, there's somebody in a truck with the cameras, looking at the cameras that are not on the air, and they're looking at Lamb, and they're looking at Prescott, and they're looking at Parsons. And, Lamb's upset. Let's take that. Ready, 3? Take 3. It goes on every sideline, in every game, and as long as it's not selfish, and I agree with you, I think Lamb's really frustrated because today he was part of the problem and he knows it.
Yeah.
He won't say that, but he was part of the problem and he knows it, and he doesn't like that because he wants to win. And so I'm with you. I don't mind that frustration being demonstrated a little bit, as long as I keep it under control.
Yeah. Brad, you're the best. I can't wait to hopefully catch up with you after a win on Thursday night.
Wouldn't that be great?
That would be nice.
All
Let's
right,
go to New York.
fellas,
Let's come back.
have a great half week.
Thank you. That's a short week. Get the bad taste out of your mouth pretty quick, hopefully going to New York against the Giants. All right, we'll welcome in our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt. We've also got head coach Mike McCarthy, Brandon Butter Aubrey, Tank Lawrence. More of your calls in text, 877-881-1053. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Experience a fabulous fall shopping day at the Flea Style Market.
firsthand at the Kohler store in Dallas or the new location at Preston Park Village in Plano, and visit Kohler.com now.
All right, now it's 1st and goal from the 19. Man, they just really need to find a way to score a touchdown. Snap to Prescott, looking right, throws a slant to the 10-yard line, and the ball came out from C.D. Lamb, and the Ravens have it at the 10.
Big fumble there from C.D. Lamb. 877-881-1053. Cowboys were down at the time 14-3, looking to try and go in and score, make it 14-10. C.D. Lamb coughed it up. Big fumble. Had a couple of drops in the second half. Not his best day at the office. And, look, he's a competitive son of a gun, C.D. I think we all know that, having been around the team. Hopefully, I mean, they need him. I mean, I know the chatter until the fourth quarter when Ferguson and Turpin and Tolbert stepped up was, you've got one offensive weapon, and it's CD. I don't know where they are on offense without 88, and hopefully Thursday he's able to shake this thing off, come back, and have a dominant performance against the Giants. Zach Wolchuk along the Super Bowl winning scout. Brian Broaddus, and we got our Cowboys insider, Bobby Belt. Bobby, how was the locker room?
I mean, surly, as surly as they typically are after they lose, and which is always seemingly much more angry and edgy than it ever is on the football field when they're going through those, getting the ball run down their throat. And so they get in there, they're frustrated. It's just it always seems to be in retrospect. It's never translating onto the field.
Always mad in the locker room, never mad on the field?
Yep. I think that's a big thing that they've got to deal with is figuring out, like, okay, who are you really frustrated with, and where should this energy be directed? I mean, you've got the most troubling thing to me is you watch that first drive, and the biggest thing is that they met every one of our very lowest expectations for what they are as a defense. Like, it wasn't a surprise. This is what we thought Baltimore would do. It was more surprised that, oh, wow, yeah, they really didn't give any resistance. They let Baltimore go down the field and do that. 5 plays, 70 yards, 4 first downs. There was a section there where they let Baltimore run it 12 times in a row, I think, in the third quarter for 120 yards. Jeez. It looks strikingly similar to the run defense in 2020 when things were in such disarray. And it's guys like Mozzie Smith just getting blown off the ball and getting blown out of his gap and guys not being where they're supposed to be. At the end of the day, I think a lot of this just comes down to you've got to start asking the question, like, are you good enough to compete with these teams is the thing. Are you good enough to consistently go out there?
You're good enough to compete. Are you good enough to play run defense?
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you play run defense like they do, you're not going to be competitive at all.
You were talking about maybe the defensive tackles. I'm going to be interested to see how the linebackers really played in this game, because I'm one of these guys that thought if you get these linebackers going and you protect them and allow them to run to the ball, that they can make plays. And I wonder, there was a time where I saw Overshown miss a tackle in space. And so I'm now wondering, okay, did I ask something that probably is not going to happen?
Yeah, and you know what? I think you mentioned you saw Overshown miss a play in space. Yeah. The book is out on the Cowboys defense right now, which is like, put them in space, like make them make a play in space. And Baltimore went in there and said, okay, let's go screen passes, let's do quarterback draws, let's do quick flares into the backfield.
Run after catch is huge.
Well, I mean the missed tackle on Kalen Carson that results in a touchdown. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Kalen Carson has been really brutal the last couple of weeks. It's not been good at all. And I recognize that there's a learning curve that's going to come with that, and he was thrust into a position that he wasn't supposed to be in. But, Deron Bland, I don't think can get back fast enough for them right now. And
they went after Diggs on that third down play. I mean,
yeah, and they were able to execute it. And that's honestly a little bit of a frustrating thing, is that I feel like that close they had to that fourth quarter is going to be something that they'll kind of lean on to bail them out of what was a really awful performance.
Yeah, there's nothing that you could say about this one. I mean, the score is going to say one thing.
Yeah.
When the actuality of it for 3 and a little bit of a fourth quarter, you were not very good today.
Yeah, it was 28-6, and it was
when you had to make a stop at the end, you couldn't make a stop.
Yeah.
That's what this was. It was just par for what went on today. Offense was struggling. Defense was struggling, And the Ravens tried to let you come back into this game. They miss a field goal. They mess up an onside kick. They tried to let you come back in this game.
Yeah, and look, I mean, they were, there's all this energy building, and Jerry stands out there afterwards and says, I think there's some good things we could build on that was there in the second, there in the second half, and the stuff that you take positivity out of.
Take his approach then. What would you build on out of the second half? Is there something that you said, hey, this is something I think they should go to more?
I mean, if you're going to be, I think that's more just a smoke and mirrors thing. But if you're from Jerry's perspective and you're looking at it and saying, what was beneficial in the second, then it'd be tempo. Like the offense getting into tempo a little bit was something where they had success with that. And so, I mean, what do you want to do the old Boomer Esiason 88 Bengals just running like hurry up all the time, or like the 90s Bills? I mean, you can give it a try, but these feel like the same conversations we were having again on both sides of the ball at the beginning of 2020, where they were having trouble scoring points early, and then they'd go on these ferocious comebacks or put up a bunch of ridiculous statistics late.
Yeah, I guess the positive is, hey, get down 3 touchdowns, let the defense kind of relax a little bit, and then you're good to go. You can move the football.
I guess that's what it is. Look, I mean, Brandon Aubrey, I mean, I might feel better about him just kicking onside kicks every time trying to get the ball back than just letting the run defense do what they're doing right now. This is just, right now you have to say this is just not a very good football team.
Yeah,
and they may grow into one, but right now they're not a very good football team.
I would say you're absolutely right about that. Yeah.
A lot of self-inflicted wounds with the penalties. I mean, that's frustrating early on. I mean, the pre-snap stuff to me, the tight ends. I mean, Spanford's got 2 penalties on him today. Ferguson gets 1. The holds on Guyton. It was interesting. I'm looking over at Brian, Bobby, during the early portion of the game. Like, they're actually run blocking better than they are pass blocking. The pass protection was pretty darn atrocious today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, they got down so big so fast. Like, they couldn't do much to try and run the ball. Like, they had to move away from that pretty quickly. But, yeah, I mean, this is they've had these inconsistent performances in the pass protection. And if you're going to fall down big, like that can't happen. There's a lot that Dak has to shoulder today. There's a lot that the offensive line has to shoulder today. I mean, again, it was first viewing. We'll go back and watch it later. But, I mean, Cooper Beebe in pass protection looked like he had a lot of issues today. Tyler Guyton looked like he had a lot of issues today. Too frequently, whenever Dak was in the ground or going to the ground and getting rid of the ball, it was Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe standing over him and looking down as he was falling to the ground.
If you want to say one really bright thing about the offense, I think Rico Dowdle ran the ball hard.
Well, I think Rico's definitely proven he needs to be the guy on the field.
Lipke.
Give him some Hunter Lipke passing game.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. But it's something where you're having to get creative to find your positives, because right now it's so glaring what's bad with this team. And there's a lot of it.
Can't stop the run, and your offense looks pretty inept.
Yeah. That's. I mean, it pretty much comes down to that, and they're going to have a lot of different questions to ask themselves, because if they don't get it righted quickly, like, I mean, if you go several weeks with these sort of issues, like, people's jobs are going to be on the line before the season's up. That's what's going to happen.
Anything else before we let you out of here, Bob?
Just I love you all.
Thanks, buddy. There he goes, Bobby Belt, our Cowboys Insider, brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org, and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We do have Mike McCarthy, who took to the podium after today's 28-25 loss, and here is what Coach had to say.
It's how demoralizing and frustrating not be able to continue to not be able to stop the run.
Well, it's our game of the season. Yeah, I mean, I think we, definitely the last 2 weeks, it's going to be a clear target on us, and we have to, we have to stop it. And it's going, we got a quick one here, quick turnaround in New York. So yeah, that's our run defense and the attempts in our run offense we're not clearly on where we need to be right now.
Tim Cowlishaw, Dallas Morning News. You won the toss and took the ball this week. How much were you counting on the offense scoring some points and kind of setting a tone early in the game?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was playing to get the lead as fast as we could. That was that was part of that decision.
And you said you were frustrated as a play caller, but you got CeeDee Lamb with a couple drops and a fumble and a penalty. I mean, how far away is he from being the kind of player you need him to
Well,
be?
I think just like anything, especially a game like today, I think that the most important thing is to look straight in the mirror. We put a lot into this game. Not that we don't put into it every week. Our practice, sometimes your preparation is really good. You don't play as well as you like, and there's times where your preparation is not very good, and you play better than you thought. And I think clearly this week our preparation was pretty much in line with the way we played. So this group works hard. I do. I truly love the locker room. They got a ton of fight, but we're going through some growing pains. So we need to continue to grow and get ready for this game in New York.
Gilman Henderson, Gilmer, Mike, how tough is it after back-to-back losses having to turn around and travel in 4 days?
I mean, that's the schedule. It's part of the NFL. It's the beauty of the competition. There's nothing like Sundays, nothing like game day. So, but we know what the schedule is. We have a plan. They'll be in it tomorrow. We'll do what we need to do, get ready. First and second down, get guys recovered, and get them lined up, and we'll be ready to go Thursday night.
Sidney Staples, D210 Sports. Coach, you've mentioned it. It's only 3 games in, but there's still fans that might be a little frustrated. What do you want to tell them, those that are a little upset with how things have started out this season?
We're a work in progress, and I get it. You love the fan support. I stood up in week 1 and said the same thing. I didn't feel like we were nowhere close to where we needed to be in week 1, and we clearly got some things that we're going to work on. And anytime you struggle in a situation, or a unit struggles, whether it's run defense, run offense, or pass protection and so forth, and then guess what? What's coming next week. So we need to clean. We need to clean our own house. Our house isn't where it needs to be right now.
Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Coach, what do you want to see from your receivers to give Dak an opportunity to make some plays down the field? Is it a matter of space, anything along those lines?
Well, I think just like anything, there's more to it than, there's the coverage and just staying after it. The connection. I thought the pocket was a little hot early, and that's, I was referring to a couple of calls I wish I had back. But yeah, I mean, it's part of the work in progress that I refer to, and hey, I'm the one that installs the passing game, so I need to do a better job.
Again, draft and develop team, you play a lot of young players early, especially early when you're looking to set the tone. It seemed there were some penalties there, some misplays here and there. I know you don't want to have to live with those, but is that just the reality of playing young players, and did you see some of that today?
Well, I mean, yes, I think that's part of the growing pains, comment, but the reality is, we got to get off this merry-go-round of going 9, 10, 11, 12 plays and not scoring a touchdown. So, I mean, we've done it now 3 weeks in a row, so we're extending drives, but it's, we got to, the start was, we had 3 penalties there right out of the gate, 1 on special teams and, 2 on offense. So that, that's definitely not the start. That's, we talked about taking the ball. I mean, that's not the start we were looking for.
Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy following this 28-25 loss to the Baltimore Ravens. And I do like Coach taking accountability for the route passing designs, the play calling. They certainly do have a lot in-house that they need to figure out. I mean, it is alarming that your offense just does not look like a well-functioning product now 2 years in a row to start the season. I don't know. Is it a reflection of not playing in the preseason? Maybe some would throw to that. But these games are going to come back to haunt you. I get it's early in the season. They all count the same.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you look. Luckily, the Eagles fell apart at the end of the year last year, so you were able to get the division. Otherwise, you'd have been looking back at the egg that you laid in Arizona thinking, damn, that was a game we needed to win the division. Right now, I don't even feel right talking about this team as a playoff team because they don't look it. They're not prepared. They have silly penalties. The passing offense, I mean, there's everything that we talked about, and we were applauding them last year in the second half of the season, the motion, the different route combinations at a bunch receiving. I mean, the running game, they're going to say the running back room is great. Jerry talked about that. Tell you what, Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott, from being in the same draft class, as Jerry put it, looked like 2 very different running backs today.
Jerry told you today he couldn't afford that runner from the Ravens. He said that,
Did they call?
Well, I mean, that's what I mean, I know what you're doing.
Right.
I understand. And, it'd be nice to have, but
I mean, I know
he
what he ended
admitted,
up
he
getting.
said he can't. But maybe, I mean, I'm just taking him at his word. I mean, he might be lying to us. I don't think he is.
And he's probably right. They probably couldn't have.
But they could have addressed some other way.
You could have.
Yeah,
No doubt. I mean, it's just it's one of those things where we'll play what Jerry had to say and react to that. But this team looks like they've got a lot of areas they need to improve on through 3 weeks.
You're not wrong. This team right now, and Mike McCarthy said it best. I mean, he's got to look at himself in the mirror. Because he's talking about 8-9 plays and not coming up with any points. That's on him as the primary play caller. He's got to figure out ways to not allow that to happen. But again, just watching them play, I mean, they are fighting for every yard. Nothing comes easy for this offense. And you watch, it seems like you watch everybody else in the National Football League, and they seem to have a little bit better flow with their offense. I mean, they didn't get any flow in their offense today until the fourth quarter.
Right.
And like I said, hey, Raven, there were things that you could have in the pregame we were talking about things you could have taken advantage of the Ravens of. And all of a sudden you figured out
those corners aren't particularly good.
No, I mean, Humphrey's a good player, but the others,
you were right.
Sure.
I mean, Brandon Stevens, he's a fellow playing a Wildcat of mine. I'm wishing him the best. Nate Wiggins looked like a rookie.
Yep.
That's why at half, when CD's venting, I'm like, I get it. CD can cook these guys. Brandon Cooks is running open. Dak just misses him.
There you go. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
All right, we'll get back to the phones, 877-881-1053, and we will hear from Jerry Jones along with your quarterback, Dak Prescott. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confused?
For Cowboys watching, Buffalo Wild Wings. Ford, your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. And by DallasCowboys.com. Keep track of the boys with daily podcasts and up-to-the-minute blogging at DallasCowboys.com and on the official Dallas Cowboys app.
At the 13-yard line of the Cowboys for the Ravens, 31 seconds left in the half. Snap to Jackson, back and looking. No pressure, rolls to his right, throws it in the end zone, caught. Bateman for the touchdown. Nobody around the thrower and nobody around the catcher.
Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus hanging out with you from the Miller Lite Club in AT&T Stadium following a 28-25 Ravens win over the Cowboys, although that score certainly doesn't really reflect the majority of this game. It was 28-6, and then the Cowboys finally were able to rally and put forth that's one thing. At least they didn't roll over and just play dead like we've seen them do in the past. But that was a pretty big beatdown again by the Ravens, which we kind of thought might happen until they prove that they can stop a running football team. I think it'll be much of the same. And again, the offense looking very inept for 3 quarters. And that's something that they're going to have to figure out as well. We'll hear from Dak Prescott, but I do want to hear Jerry, who caught up with the media, your owner and general manager, Jerry Jones.
Just seemed like we couldn't get out of our own way, but it's just a reminder of what this game is about. They can take some of what they showed out at the end of that game, and we can go forward with that. That's at least some taste to end up in your mouth. We're sad, obviously, for our fans that we've lost 2 in a row here at home. But if things work like you'd like to have them, they can take some of what we had at the end there and bottle it up and go forward with it.
How concerned are you about the run defense?
Well, again, overall, Baltimore really did a successful job, let's put it like that, on both sides of the ball. And it wasn't until we were able to get a little more going at the end ourselves. But we've got a lot of work to do. But we've got time to do that kind of work. And we got a short week this week, but we've got to start. That was disappointing to end up at the end getting back there and maybe having a shot at it. But when you look at the whole picture, we got outplayed today.
Jerry, that's 3 losses in a row now at home. How concerned are you about that the home field advantage doesn't seem to be what it was?
Well, I'm not going to close the stadium if you're asking me that at all. So, but seriously, those hurt. Those really hurt. I hate it. I'm so proud of every fan in every seat. Everybody's not in the seat watching on television. I hate it at home, but I hate it anytime the only real solution is to take the plus parts we got out there today. We were ragged in a lot of areas, and that can be improved on. And if we improve on that and learn from this, you saw some what happens when it starts going your way. You can make some good things happen. We've got the talent to make it happen out there. I feel good about that. But we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got a short week against a team that won today.
Jerry, brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star with over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games. The all-new 2-story WinStar Spa and Cascades, their luxury pool complex. WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. So, Jerry still feels talented. He went on to say, quote, "I like our personnel." And then asked specifically about Derrick Henry, said we couldn't afford Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I would like to bring to the table, Brian. I got a text, and I really do. I appreciate all the feedback. We don't always have to agree. It's never personal. I think that's the beauty of Sports Talk Radio. But one person from the 210, love you. Wolchuk, I think you're being a little too hard on Micah. To me, he's doing everything he can to help the defense, but he's got absolutely no help. So there's somebody that didn't like the criticism of Micah because he's got no help. I put out that I don't think that the quarterback, you could say, has played well. I know other people, if you're dug in, you're a Dak defender, or you're dug out and you just think Dak stinks, people overly will have to defend Dak Prescott, and other people, no matter if he plays a tremendous game, will still think he's bad and isn't any good until he wins a Super Bowl. I think there's got to be some fair and balance here. For 3 quarters, Dak doesn't have any help, right? That's what I'm told, but he didn't play well either. Mm-hmm. So if Dak doesn't have any help, Micah doesn't have any help. That's why they're not performing well. Can't be too hard on them. Is your roster good? Is your personnel good? Because it seems like the pushback is nobody's got any help.
Yeah. Well, to your point, I mean, I like what you said, and I think you have to be fair about it, and I think you have to point it out. I will say this, as Jerry Jones is the general manager, he can go do something about this.
Yes.
He could go and he could look at his football team through 3 games and say, we need to go make a move here. We need to get better here. We need to try and fix this. If you really want your Cowboy fans, if you really feel bad for your fan base, go out and try and change this. Go out and try and do something about it. Start as the general manager. Direct Will McClay or whoever, hey, Will, let's figure this out. We need help here. We need help here. Maybe we need some help here. Let's work on that right now. You could feel good about some of your players, but this is not good enough. This is not good enough. Saints, I feel like, are going to be a good team. That was a much better team today than what the Saints
Ravens have a pedigree. I mean, they were just in a conference championship.
That's a better team.
That's a team.
That's the type of team you're going to have to compete against.
Yes.
That's the team that's like the boogeyman of San Francisco, and the ability to run the ball and play defense, and that's what you're going to have to compete against. They let you back in the game today with some of their misplays. But to me, as the general manager of this football team, if you really are disappointed for your fans, go out and do something about it. Just don't play status quo. I know it's a short week and you can't make a lot of changes and all that, but you need to start the ball rolling and get this. And I'm not talking about wait till November 9th, when the trade deadline hits. I'm talking about right now. Start putting some feelers out there, seeing, hey, where do we feel like that we're not very good? And you can look at the run defense. You can look at some of the stagnation of the offense. Do you need another receiver? You're not going to change out the quarterback. That's your guy. The runners. I mean, they don't run. They're behind in these last 2 games. How do you run the ball? I mean, I was surprised that they were able to run it as well as they did. I know that wasn't great, but I didn't expect them to do anything with the run game and stuff like that. So, to me, this is as the general manager, this is where you can affect the team in a positive way, and just don't sit there and, okay, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. No, you can go out and make moves, and then or line up moves in order to make your football team better as the season wears on. Because if you play like this, the rest of the year, don't worry about playoffs and all these other things. Worry about go worry about the 5th or 6th pick of the draft, if that's what you're going to do, because you're not good enough to compete with the Ravens, the 49ers, the Lions, people like that.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And hey, to me, I'm not going to be, hey, you don't have any help. Yeah. It's not an excuse. The Carolina Panthers were left for dead. Worst organization in pro sports is what we were talking about this week. They're benching Bryce Young. Andy Dalton goes out there with the same team. They smacked the Raiders, who are a team that just beat the Ravens, who you played today, right? Yeah. You never know in the National Football League. Last time I checked, CeeDee Lamb's pretty good. Brandon Cooks is good. We were all super excited about Jake Ferguson. Offensive line, you got 2 rookies. Understandable, right? That's going to take some time. Steele, the consistency needs to improve there. Yeah. But the whole, you don't have any help, part of that is when you end up paying a guy $60 million and you wait to pay him, so you don't really have your cap totally figured out, and you wait to pay CeeDee Lamb, You're not addressing your team. You're not fortifying the roster. That's on you. And so, Jerry does like the roster. He's put the roster together. But right now, it doesn't seem like it's good enough when it comes to defense. 877-881-1053. We'll get back to your calls and texts momentarily, but let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
You're turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Hello, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas-Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
Now, I agree. Hey, on offense, play caller's probably not helping you out right now.
Not very much.
You're not getting a lot of separation. CD can't fumble. You can't have drops. But also, you do need your quarterback to make some more throws. Out route to Brandon Cooks for a first down, overthrown. Brandon Cooks open down the left sideline for a touchdown, overthrown. Right, you're throwing to guys in the flats. Maybe it means nothing and it's all hollow at the end of the day, but you're trying to get yardage, move the change, passes short. Ferguson's diving down for a ball, right? This is all stuff where this is what happens until they go ahead and they make a salary cap just for quarterbacks. It's probably going to be the case where the rest of your roster isn't perfect when you go ahead and pay your quarterback. And it's then now the pressure's on that position to try and mask some of that. And unfortunately, through 3 games, the Browns, they scored 1 offensive touchdown. Okay? The Browns aren't any good. But through 3 games, it hasn't been good enough.
No, it's not. And like I said, the play caller needs to look at himself, too. He started talking about practice and how they played because of practice and all that. He's responsible for practice. If he doesn't feel like his team's practicing well enough, then he needs to do something about that. That's disturbing to hear. When and the general manager, hey, there's some things to build on, and all that. If I'm the general manager, I need to walk in there and say, listen, I need to do something different here. We cannot go through the rest of this season playing run defense like this.
Yeah, it's got to change.
If I have to go make a change, if I have to go sign somebody, if I have to trade for somebody, whatever I have to do, this run defense needs to be different. And, that needs to help the play caller. They need to think about that situation. Mike McCarthy, are you doing everything that you can as a play caller here? That's, hey, can Brian Schottenheimer call plays? Is there something that needs to be done here? No stone is now everything needs to be overturned. All the stones need to be overturned. You're 1-2. You've gotten your butt handed to you the last 2 weeks. You need to be different. You are not going to beat good teams the way you're currently configured. It's just not going to happen.
All right, I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently on hold. We will get to you. We will hear from Dak Prescott. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag & Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag & Turf, the official Ag & Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
Buffalo Wild Wings is kicking off football season with 2 limited-time sauces. Whether you're watching games at the sports bar or ordering straight to your couch, Buffalo Wild Wings flavor game is next level. Try the new Buffalo Bacon Sauce for a buttery, tangy buffalo with bold notes of smoky bacon. Or get the fan favorite hot barbecue on an order of wings sauced in a classic smoky sweet barbecue with spicy heat. Try them at your local DFW Buffalo Wild Wings today.
Hey Cowboys fans, it's time to get ready for tailgate season with an official Dallas Cowboys license plate from MyPlates.com. Join the many thousands of fans already driving around with Cowboys pride on their ride. It's a must-have for any die-hard Cowboys fan. MyPlates is also the one-stop shop for all specialty plates in Texas, with over 500 designs to choose from. With Cowboys plates starting from only $50, what are you waiting for? Visit MyPlates.com today. That's MyPlates.com.
Whether you're in the courtroom or on the field, winning matters. As a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, Barberi Law Firm understands the stakes when your life is on the line. Our clients have a lot to lose, so we use our 25 years of criminal defense experience to handle each case with precision and dedication. Led by board-certified attorney and specialist Heather Barberi, we provide VIP treatment and a relentless pursuit of justice. Choose Barberi Law Firm for a masterful defense. Call 682-LAW-STAR.
From retirement planning to insurance,
SWBC has customized solutions to help individuals and businesses. Visit swbc.com to learn more.
Tom Thumb's new Drive Up and Go service makes grocery shopping easy and convenient for anyone.
25 pounds of ground chuck, 15 bags of hamburger buns, 28 bags of Tostitos, 10 packs of Pepsi, and some barbecue tongs.
You pick the time, you drive up, and go.
With Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go, anyone has time in their schedule to go grocery shopping. Just a few clicks away, and you can feed your team.
Everyone can be a grocery pro bowler with Tom Thumb's Drive Up and Go. Download the app or try an online order to get started today.
Bell Nunley has been committed to serving their clients for over 4 decades. This Dallas-based full-service law firm offers an extensive array of legal services, including championship-level commercial litigation, mergers and acquisitions.
Difference firsthand at the Kohler store in Dallas or the new location at Preston Park Village in Plano, and visit Kohler.com now.
Jackson and the gun man in motion, fly sweep, thrown for a loss.
No, it's Jackson's got the ball.
Oh, oh my God!
And he made the first down.
Holy cow! I'm so sorry. He fooled me again.
Yeah.
Oh gracious! My apologies. That's how good Jackson is.
Yeah, I think it fooled the camera guy as well. As, man, he just stayed with the running back there. Next thing you know, boom, there goes Lamar Jackson for the first down, and that was all she wrote, as Lamar and Derrick Henry having their way with that Dallas Cowboys defense. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus hanging out here in the Miller Lite Club. We'll hear from Dak Prescott in just a moment. Do want to go back out to the phones. I know a lot of you have been waiting very patiently, and we appreciate you for that. We'll start off with Michael in California. Michael, what's going on? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Broaddus, Mr. Wolchuk? Thank you for taking my call. And you guys kind of touched on what I wanted to talk about as far as, Jerry Jones is the general manager, and he has the ability to go out and get some help. And I would really like to see him make a trade. I mean, I don't want to sound like some crazy delusional Cowboy fan, but I would really love to see them go after Quinnen Williams and Breland Allen from the Jets. I don't know. I've never seen a package trade get done like that. And I'm curious, Mr. Broaddus, on what you think it would take us to get that done. But also, I don't know if it was just me, but Dak Prescott looked a little off on a couple of his throws today. And I'm not a Dak hater where I just like to blame him for the losses, because I think this is a team loss that we have to look at the whole team. But thank you very much, and I'll go ahead and hang up and listen. God bless you all. Go Cowboys.
Thank you, man. I don't know what the pack. I mean, I don't know. There was a time where I thought that they would give up Quinnen Williams. I just don't think that they would do it right now. So, but you never know. I mean, like I said, it's if you go after something like that, you're probably looking at you're looking at a first-round pick. You're probably looking if you really just want to get the deal done, you'd probably have to give them a 1. But if you want to put together a 2 and a 4 or something like that, but. That's to go out and get one of these guys. That's probably what it's going to take. I mean, you saw what it took to go get Amari Cooper, and Dallas has a little bit of a history of overpay and maybe selling a little bit short. But if you want to go get one of these guys, somebody is just not going to give him up to you.
No.
And so if you're going to do that, you're going to have to probably go with something pretty significant like a 1 or a 2.
Yeah, and then Braylon Allen is
they're not going to give up a rookie guy.
They're not going to go ahead and do that. Now, I mean, you also have the contract for Quinnen Williams. I don't know. They might tell you they can't afford that.
I mean, he said, what does it take? And, is it realistic? No, probably not. Because you're right, because of the contract situation. But, there's others to identify. If you want to, they have a decent pro department here. I think that Alex Loomis and those guys do a really nice job with their pro personnel stuff, and I would trust them to be able to identify. Now, I say that, and then we look at what's happened, with the last, with Phillips and Joseph and stuff like that, the guys that they've added. It hasn't worked out particularly well for them.
Well, I mean, and unfortunately, it'd be great if those guys hit, but that's what happens when you wait until the end of training camp to address that. And I gave them credit in the moment. Like, they recognized they're weak at this position. Unfortunately, they learned very quickly there was a reason these guys were not on football rosters, because they're not very good anymore. They're not NFL caliber players. And if you want to go ahead and say, hey, we've given CeeDee Lamb $30 million, we're going to have to pay Micah Parsons, we paid Trayvon Diggs, we just paid Dak Prescott, you go down the list, they're going to pay Tyler Smith, they paid Zach Martin, they owed money to Zeke, and the dead money stuff. They want to say that they don't have the capability to do it.
What's been a kick in the gut for them is they did draft Mozzie Smith.
Yes.
And that has not worked out for them like they thought it would. That's the problem. I mean, it's not for a lack of not trying. It's the players that they brought into the position just haven't been good enough yet. And, and I say yet because of Mozzie's situation. I mean, we saw Mozzie flash today. But they've tried to add a defensive tackle through the draft, and they've tried to add defensive tackles through the draft before. Tristan Hill. Mm-hmm. They've tried to add guys. Bohanna, Ridgeway. They've tried to add guys.
Justin Rogers. Ridgeway and Rogers are both guys that didn't even make the roster.
Yeah.
Now Ridgeway's starting, and Rogers is on the practice squad of the Bengals.
Right.
Maybe he's not any good. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, they have thrown some darts there. It just hasn't, whatever they've decided to do, unfortunately, it has not worked. And I totally understand the fan base being frustrated with we can't pay X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you see other teams throughout the league, like the San Francisco 49ers, it seems like they've got 10 players that are highest paid at their position, outside of quarterback, of course. But how the heck are some of these other teams able to do that?
Right.
And then every year it's like, we don't have any money, right? We can't do anything in free agency. So I get the frustration with that. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get back out to the phones. And right now, let's go to Larry in, is it New Jersey, Larry? Larry, what's going on?
Well, I agree with the sentiment, and Brian, I talked to you guys before about this. It seems like with this team does not, when he gets punched in the mouth, it feels like they just want to just fall down and go for the 10 count and go home. And with the schedule that I've seen that's coming up soon, it doesn't look very promising. With the way they just seem to stagnate through and decide to play one good quarter of football, and I'm just either we're going to go 3-3 or we're going to go maybe 2-4 by the time we get to the bye.
Yeah, it's not pretty right now. I mean, like I said, the Giants are coming off a win. It's a short week. You feel like you got a better roster, but look at Neighbors, the start he's had with the Giants and stuff like that. Giants, Steelers, Lions. Yeah, this is not an easy thing to have to deal with right now, and especially if you're a team that just does not play very well on defense and you're struggling on offense. We've had red zone problems. We've had consistency problems of just driving the ball and finishing. Like I said earlier, the 2-point plays I thought were terrible calls. Sprint right option into that. I mean, come on. There's no creativity in that right there. Ball's got to be out, and there was no separation at corner. It's a pretty simple play right there. So they've got to be better. Play callers got to be better. Defensive coordinators got to be better. The team itself, the 48 that dressed, they've got to be better. There's a lot going on with this team right now, and a lot of it ain't good.
All right, let's go out to Gary in New Mexico. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, guys, I agree with everything you've said. Zach, there needs to be some butt chewing going on that sideline. I don't care who does it, but somebody needs to do it. But with all of that said, they still had a chance to win that game, even though they didn't deserve to. On the 2-point thing, and I was telling this to the television, I know that doesn't work, but you kick the extra points. You don't need to go for 2 that early. If you just kick the 2 extra points, it's a 1-possession game when you score that 3rd touchdown. If you don't do the second onside kick, you don't have to drive 90 yards to get the 3rd touchdown. You just have to drive maybe 50. Bad game management at the end, but you're right. They didn't deserve to win it. We don't want to gloss it over by that late push, but just poor all the way around.
I appreciate the call, Gary, 100%. And today's game between the Ravens and the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium was brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Of course, appreciate everyone who's hanging out with us. We're with you until 9:30 on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys. Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus, the Super Bowl winning scout from the Miller Lite Club here at AT&T Stadium. We'll get back to the phones momentarily. We'll also hear from Dak Prescott. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
People will always come and go in our lives, but we all know those few who never left, the ones who make you stronger.
Four-man rush, looking in the end zone, deep on the backside of the end zone, and it's Turpin. Touchdown.
There is your drive of the game. It was a 16-yard touchdown to Kevontae Turpin. Took 11 plays, 91 yards in 2.5 minutes for the Cowboys. Drive of the game brought to you by Blockchain. Trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with Blockchain.com. And that cut the lead to 28-25. Unfortunately, Baltimore ends up getting a 3rd and 6 conversion, a 9-yard pass to Zay Flowers. Trayvon Diggs taking full accountability for that, saying that he needs to not be playing so far off and giving so much cushion there to Zay Flowers. And then you had Lamar Jackson running over left guard for 10 yards on a 2nd and 9 at the Baltimore 35 after the 2-minute warning that iced the game. Cowboys lose it 28-25. Post-game show rolls on here, 877-881-1053. Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus, of course, who is a Super Bowl winning scout here in the Miller Lite Club. Let's hear from Dak Prescott following this one.
Clarence Hill, All City, Dallas. Let's talk about the slow starts. I know you guys finish fast, but how frustrating is it to continue to start slow?
Yeah, very frustrating, especially when you're playing a quarterback like that on that side, an offense that powerful, explosive. You just can't do it. Honestly, just talking to some of the defensive guys, we got to look in the mirror, us offense first, and we got to help them. I mean, I know their standard, and they don't want to allow 28 points, but 28 points against an MVP player, an offense like that, it's a game that we've got to go score 30 in. We know it. We didn't do it. Started late. That's the biggest part of it. The penalties, some errors, I guess you can say, just whether it be alignment, whether it be assignment, we've got to be cleaner. We've got to lock in and be more focused on our job and take accountability every position and grow.
Why do you seem to be more in sync when you're 2-minute?
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe it's plays that we've ran, from first day, from the first install. That's what you always say. 2 minutes install, 1 plays that you've the first day all the way to the last. You've had the most reps at them. That could be potentially it. So maybe we've got to lessen the volume. Who knows? But us as players, we've got to be more professional and understand our jobs, understand where we're supposed to be, and do that time and time again and keep our focus.
Dak, Todd Archer with ESPN, you said be more professional. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, by knowing where you're supposed to be, knowing your reads, knowing where you're supposed to line up, knowing your routes, knowing your route adjustments versus certain coverages. Every part of what being a professional is. It's doing your job and being prepared for every part of the job, however it may come. So time away from the building to being in the building, just being a pro and understanding that you can only get so many practice reps, but you can watch the film, you can do all these other things that will help make up for it. And we just got to be more focused. And that's what, to me, on offense, we haven't been as focused as we should, and had a lot of or a few mental errors that were crucial, I guess you can say, just the timing-wise. And to me, it just goes into being professional and understanding what you got to do.
Saad of The Athletic. Dak, with body language and CD's body language, how do you balance the passion that he shows versus making sure like he doesn't get too down either on himself or on the offense as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, reading body language, I'm not really into it. I'm just into making sure he doesn't get down on himself. The body language, whether it's good, it's bad, it's irrelevant. It's where his mind is. And so he's going to be disappointed when you're passionate, when you expect a lot from yourself. You're going to be that way. So for me, it's about just letting him know, hey, next play, wipe it clean. Who cares what happened when you have an opportunity to go fix it this next play or make a better play? So if you're sitting in that, dwelling on that, your mind's not in the right place to move forward. So for me, it's about just always talking to not only him but the other guys of, don't dwell. You don't have time to dwell. You look at the way that game ended, and I feel like if we don't dwell in different places on offense, it's a different game, obviously. And who knows, a 2-point conversion away from a tie game and a red zone trip away from a different ending to that game. So that's my point, is you can't dwell. Things happen fast in this league, and you always have an opportunity. You always have a chance as long as there's times and as long as you have the ball.
Dak Prescott there after a 28-25 loss to the Ravens. I mean, I do like what Dak's saying there. I mean, one thing about Dak that I've never criticized is the leadership.
Yeah.
He certainly has that. And, talking about the body language, and that's the one thing when it comes to CD, and I know I don't care about the sideline outbursts. I've made that very clear. One thing that he can't do is then allow that to affect his play moving forward. If that happened, the advice that Dak's giving is absolutely right. Apparently, CD also didn't talk to the media after the game. We saw Trayvon Diggs taking accountability for the 3rd and 6. CD didn't have his best day today. Accountability does matter. And, Dak's going up there and talking to the media. Mike McCarthy's going up there and talking to the media. That I don't like to hear that from CD. I still don't mind him being emotional. If you want to call it pouting, then whatever. That's fine. The guy cares. I like seeing a little bit of heart on the sideline of the football team, that somebody isn't cool with being down 21-6. But the advice Dak's given there, you got to move on to the next play, is very right.
Did I hear Dak Wright talk about preparation?
Yes.
And that, people getting into and, so many reps and stuff like that. Mike McCarthy basically said the same thing, talking about the practices and things like that.
But supposedly Thursday was a great practice. That's
I know.
I know.
I mean,
right?
I was making sure that I heard the right thing. Did Dak basically say, hey, there's some things that we need to do better with the preparation and stuff like that, and getting into it, and, and I just want to make sure I didn't hear it wrong, because to me, that's the bigger issue. I understand emotional players, but if there's something wrong with preparation, if guys aren't into it like they need to be on a weekly basis, I don't know. It sounded like to me that Dak kind of brought that up. That to me is a bigger issue than what's going on with CeeDee Lamb. If they are having problems, if everybody's not doing everything that they need to do to get ready for a game on a weekly basis, then I think that's a bigger issue than body language or CeeDee Lamb pouting a little bit on the sidelines.
Yeah, that certainly would be, and it's. I mean, I know he was referring to the slow starts.
Yeah,
that's something that's frustrating as well. And again, I mean, it's almost like there's so much pressure offensively. You've got to come out and hit the ground running, because we've seen now for this defense as it's currently constructed, to be able to get into their game and play their best, they've got to be playing with the lead.
They have to be.
Now, that's not a recipe, in my opinion, to win a Super Bowl. It's not. But at least that right now seems like it's their recipe for success. You've got to go out. You got to start fast on offense. You got to get the lead, and then you can allow the defense to go to work. Otherwise, you're in for a long day. It's probably not going to go your way.
Nope. And it started very early when they took the ball. After the coin flip, they won the toss, and emphatically Israel Mukuamu says we want the ball, and they took the ball and proceeded to do absolutely nothing with it. And then what happens with the Ravens? They just take the ball and just go right down the field on you.
Yeah.
The Cowboys were trying to start fast and get going and couldn't get it done today. Could not get. And that's a good football team they got beat by. But it's amazing that the Ravens play to a point where they allow people to come back in games like that. God,
that's. I mean,
if they lose that game, that would have been. I mean, you talk about.
That's a season ender.
Devastation.
I mean, you're 0-3.
Yeah.
I don't think you're coming back for that.
But you see what they had to do to win at the end. They put the ball in Lamar Jackson's hands and said, you run it and you throw it and do what you have to do. And they surely did what they had to do to kill the game.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get in another call here if we can. Let's go out to, I believe it's line 7. We got Hakeem in Frisco. What's going on, man? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, guys. Great to talk to you, even after the Cowboys loss. I think about a few things that we heard Jerry say. Number one, we couldn't afford Derrick Henry. But when I look at our salary cap, I last saw, I think we're $25 million under the salary cap, but I think his salary cap hit is $5 million, for example. So I think sometimes we let Jerry maybe get away with without kind of pushing back. That's my first item.
Can I say something real quick? Yeah, when they had the deal, I don't think they had. I'm just saying, you're looking at current cap space, right? You said 20.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. See, when the Henry thing was signed before they got the Dak. Of course, the Dak contract done and the CD contract done, which gave them the cap space. So we need to go back and see when Henry was signed, what was the cap space at that particular time. That's
as you guys said.
Yeah.
But kind of as you guys said, that makes it even worse because you put yourself in this position not to be active in free agency when you knew you didn't have the personnel to handle yourself. That's my first item. My second item is health. My second item is health. What makes me fearful is that we're not playing well, and compared to other teams like San Francisco, who does not have their RB1, their wide receiver 1, their tight end 1. Now, they lost today, but these folks are still competing. The Eagles don't have A.J. Brown. They're still competing. They've lost folks on the offensive line. We are relatively healthy outside of Bland, and we're just getting blown out the doors. And it makes me concerned. We're going to have an injury. We're going to have a big-time injury at some point this season. And I'm not going to be, unless it's Dak, I'm not going to be down for an excuse of, well, we have injuries when we have folks relatively healthy right now, we can't get anything done. So that's just great disappointment. Lastly, I hope they play Dalvin Cook in the next game because I saw nothing from Zeke. I think he had 4 carries for like 6 yards or 8 yards. We got to try something new because that is not working. And I see more from Deuce Vaughn than I do from Zeke.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. I don't know that I would agree that I've seen more from Deuce than Zeke, but I do think that running back room is a problem, and I'm interested.
The blocking might be a problem too.
Well, I really felt, at least in the first quarter, I thought the run blocking was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. That's what I'm saying.
We'll go back and look. But
hey, and I
was pretty impressed. Granted, when we saw the front that they were going up against, I thought they were moving some people.
I tried to get you to run in week 1, in the second half, and nobody was interested in that right now. So anyway, it is what it is, and I give Dowdle a lot of credit. If you want to say somebody that came to play today, and I know the numbers don't, but Dowdle looked like to me he came to play today. The opportunities that he got.
He looks like the best of the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Dowdle, that should just be his job. And I guess, like, Dalvin Cook's a big name. I know a lot of fans, or especially with an underperforming running back room right now, you'd like to see him. I don't expect Dalvin Cook to be your hero.
You're never in the game. Well, okay, the last 2 weeks you haven't been in the game to even run the ball. Yeah, am I right about that?
The last 2 games. Yeah. You've gotten down 14 to 21 to 6, 28 to 6. Last week obviously was a disaster. So no, you're kind of taken out of that in the first quarter.
Right.
But it also speaks to you basically not having any offensive production earlier on in the football game, right? To where you're not scoring and keeping pace.
True.
All right, we'll get back to the calls. We'll also hear from Micah Parsons and maybe your best player, Brandon Aubrey. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
The Whataburger Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger is an all-time favorite. It brings so many flavors together in harmony, you might wonder if it's greater than the sum of its parts. It's got 2 all-beef patties, both of which fantastic. Crispy bacon, love that. Grilled onions, melty cheese. Who would say no? And sweet and spicy pepper sauce. Yes, please. I guess we're kind of partial to every part. The Sweet and Spicy Bacon Burger from Whataburger, just like you like it.
Feeling the urge to get away and slow things down? Bring your trusted teammates to Puerto
Plates starting from only $50. What are you waiting for? Visit myplates.com today. That's myplates.com.
65 on the way. Line drive.
Unbelievable.
Just like going after the driving range. How about that?
Man, 877-881-1053. A lot of feisty people in the text. I'm sure waiting on hold to talk. Social media. I mean, that's what happens. You know, you lose 2 in a row, and really you get blown out at home. I know the fourth quarter, the score 28-25. It looks closer than it was.
Sure.
But even Trayvon Diggs saying, like, I don't really give a damn about that fourth quarter rally. We shouldn't have been in position for that to even happen. This team definitely not playing up to their standards as of right now. And, I mean, that's just the simple truth, and now they got to turn around and do it next week. Brandon Aubrey, though, he sure is. 65-yarder. That is a team record, longest field goal in Dallas Cowboys history. That is our What a Play of the Game, brought to you by Reliant, an NRG company. I do want to hear from Brandon Butter Aubrey, shall we? Maybe the most dependable player on the team right now. Just seems like he can't miss. Here's Brandon Aubrey after the game.
Brandon, there's another tough loss, but during the game, you set a record for the Dallas Cowboys. Does that mean anything in the middle of this loss?
Yeah, absolutely. Love getting the name in the record books, and have that opportunity in the first quarter even is something that I can't take for granted. Got a coach that believes in me and keeps calling these kicks, so I keep rewarding them with some makes. But yeah, a lot proud of the fight the guys showed today, because it was looking tough there back-to-back weeks, and came back and made it a really close game.
And can you say anything about the fact that you are so consistent? It's kind of good the team knows they can count on you. It's not like, oh boy, we got to overcome the kicker too.
Yeah, I just want to go out there and do my job and make sure they can rely on me, just like you said. You just want to be part of the team, a positive part of the team, so it's good that at this point in time I've been there.
And finally, you got a short week you got the Giants coming up real soon. Is anything going to change as far as your preparation?
No, just limit the kicks, focus on rest, make sure the leg's feeling good going into the game.
Appreciate you.
There he is, Brandon Butter Aubrey, after this 28-25 game. I mean, this guy's been Mr. Automatic. And, I mean, the onside kick today as well.
Yeah, there's, when you're there, you're even announcing, hey, we're going to try an onside kick, so everybody sets up and does what they need to do. But the kick was perfect, and, the opportunity there to recover it was great. There has been a time where I felt like, I'm like, man, this is a reach. You look at where they placed the ball, and you look at what Tucker did today, and net miss, and how that kind of turned things around for the Cowboys. Man, you're thinking about a 60-plus yard field goal and where that ball is going to be, and here are the Ravens already, and he just knocks it home. And I swear there was a time where I was like, boy, this is a terrible idea, and I don't even say that anymore with the way that kid is able to knock that ball home.
Yes, after we won, I think he kind of put that all to rest, man. I think he was like, all right, if he's coming out here.
I usually look at you and go, I wouldn't do this, but he did a great job.
Brent, I got to be honest with you. I'm at a bit of a loss with the pulse right now of kind of where we are as Cowboys fandom. You got Dak Prescott, who's coming off the field. He's obviously frustrated. He's like, all right, jump off the bandwagon, please, please.
Yeah.
There's some fans out there that are I mean, I don't know that that's the way to go about it. I don't love seeing that as a diehard Cowboy fan that's 33 years old and never seen them play really in a conference championship game. I mean, I was alive when they won a couple Super Bowls, but don't really have any recollection of watching it. And is that on Dak and McCarthy to wear? No, that's a long, long history of 28, 29 years of frustration. But I don't know how the fans are supposed to feel, right? I mean, I think the frustration is okay. Now, there are fans out there, if you say anything wrong about Dak or Micah or CD, those are their guys. They're going to defend them, and more power to you.
Sure.
Nobody should tell you how to be a fan. You fan however the hell you want. But I think the fan frustration is totally warranted, and it also really should go to the front office and how they're kind of putting this thing together. first and foremost, I know people will be like, hey, whenever we get the Jones family on, we kiss their buns and we don't ask hard questions. You guys want to send us some questions to ask, hey, I'll ask fan questions on Friday. I'm totally cool with that. But I think when we have, the bottom line is I don't know that that's ever going to change how it operates. They have put talented teams on the field that we thought had a chance to do something, and unfortunately it just hasn't gone well in the postseason. But this year, a lot of the weaknesses are the same, and they didn't do enough to execute and solve that in the offseason, at least through 3 weeks.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they had an offseason, though, where they had to sign a receiver who held out on him, and then they got the quarterback done. But was it in a timely manner? No, it really, really wasn't. And, that's the thing. You were kind of hopeful that you could have got it done in a timely manner and then maybe taken some of that money and done some other things. But, they're like I said earlier, the general manager can look at this and he can talk about it being disappointed for the fans and stuff like that. But he has the ability as the general manager to maybe go do something about it. And unfortunately they didn't do something to start the season or the off season with it. Now, the draft, we'll see how that's all worked out. I really do like the young players they have. I like the kids. I know Carson, that's a struggle. He missed a tackle. You come back later, the ball's on flat.
He was tackling after that.
After that,
I think he's still going to be a good player. I think Guyton and Beebe are going to be a good player.
They're going to have good players, but that's the whole thing about it is that you look at this team and you're thinking like, well, they're deficient in this area and they're deficient in this area and they're deficient. Jerry Jones can do something about that if he wants to do something about it. But it's going to be him telling Steven and Will and Mike McCarthy, okay, hey, give me a plan about this. How are we going to handle it? Are we just going to let this thing ride? And if they let this thing ride, then you know where they're at. This could be a thing too where they could be rebuilding this thing. This could be
playing a lot of young guys.
Play a lot of young guys. They're going to move on from the head coach, and then here we go. We'll draft and we'll just build this thing back up, and we'll go get another coach. We'll get another coordinator. We'll get another defensive coordinator. Maybe the plan is to just play this thing out, and then find a way to when the off season comes, you get a new coach, you get a new draft, and then you build it that way back up.
877. I hear what you're saying. I think all of that is fair.
Because if they don't do anything, they got the quarterback signed, they got the receiver signed. They've got young offensive linemen in place. They're probably going to lose their right guard. They, figure out things on the defense. Do you now move on from Micah? Do you now? I know this sounds like week 17, week 18 talk. When you don't make it,
I know it's still.
But
you
wonder,
you still have the whole season in front of you.
You wonder if the front office is thinking like, just ride this thing, ride it, and if it's good enough, it's good enough. If it's not, then you're going to have an opportunity to correct all this in the offseason with potentially a new head coach, and some other pieces involved.
Yeah, and I'm with you, 619. I will never be able to jump off the bandwagon. I'm going to be a Cowboy fan until they bury me in the ground, man. I'm here for the long haul.
There's a lot of fans like that.
So I'm with you, but I do think that the frustration and like a lot of texts are coming in, I'm feeling it with you guys. I am, because it is hard to try and find optimism when it's like, damn, this team, they can't stop the run. They don't seem physical. Right now, your offensive line, you're breaking in 2 young rookies. I hope that gets better as the season goes on, but you're not able to establish the run.
Can't get the receivers open.
Yeah, you're down 3 touchdowns before you can blink. You're putting everything on your quarterback's shoulders. Do I think he played particularly well today? No. And then you say that, and you get completely just obliterated like you think the quarterback's ass. I don't think that at all. I think they're asking him to be superhuman, and it's totally unfair to him, right? But the bottom line is, it's still okay to give a criticism and say the quarterback didn't have his best day today either. It's just I understand the frustration. And
it sounded like the quarterback was frustrated today that his teammates aren't prepping like he is.
Yeah, and maybe that has something to do with it. And that's
I hope I'm not putting words in people's mouths.
He needs help.
Did I hear that right? If I did, please let me know. If I didn't hear it right, let me know that too. But it sounded like to me that there's things that he's talking about that they can do, and they're not doing them right now.
Yeah, it's just it's certainly a gut-wrenching feeling when you just get clobbered at home 2 weeks in a row. I know the score in the fourth quarter, that was fun. Almost had a chance to come back and win it. But for the most part, It was
They kicked your ass today.
It was. You got your ass
They had
kicked.
270-something yards rushing today.
Now, the good thing is they're going to turn around and smack the Giants on Thursday, so they're going to be 2-2, and all will be right. So they own the Giants.
I hope you're
So
right
does
about
Dak
that.
Prescott. Oh, if I'm not, I'll eat the crow, but I don't think I'm going to have to do that. I think that's going to be an absolute butt-whooping on Thursday night in New York against the Giants. Get right game, baby.
Maybe that Kansas State guy, that fan, you need to – did you see what BYU did to Kansas?
Yeah, I'm not going to throw that out there. I'm not going to say I'm going to, the whatever burrito from a place that I'm not going to name because I don't think they're a sponsor.
There you go.
All right, we'll get back to the calls here in just a moment. I promise you, you've been waiting patiently. We're going to go through Rapid Fire Edition, 877-881-1053. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now...
Cowboys to get started.
Field goal percentage leader in the NFL, and he makes this one from 46.
Missed
Sorry.
it. Hold it.
Hooked it. And it remains 28-6 Ravens.
That was our defensive stop of the game. And right there, you had the missed field goal. That thing was huge in this one. Played a big part as the Cowboys were just down 3. Also, you can go back to, of course, the fumble from CD early. That one very, very costly as well. I did see Zach Wolchuk alongside Brian Broaddus here in the Miller Lite Club following a 28-25 Cowboys loss to the Ravens, according to Next Gen. I know you're a big Next Gen guy, Brian.
I'm looking at it right now.
How about Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott? He had to throw into a tight window.
Yeah, I just saw that one.
35.3% of his attempts against the Ravens. That's the highest rate in a game since Week 4
2018.
of 2018. My gosh, he was 5 of 18 for 66 yards, negative 7% completion over expected on these throws. I think nobody is without their fair share of blame, but certainly when it comes to receivers getting separation, but also really just the design lacking a little bit right now. He's certainly not getting help on that side of the ball, you would think, just based on that from the play caller.
Yeah, I mean, it was that's tough. It just seems like every time you look up, and I can't sit there and say I watch every single NFL game, but, man, I see a lot of guys that are open, these wide receivers and these quarterbacks find them, and also hats off to them. I think Dallas needs to look at their situation. I felt like there were a couple of the guys they could have taken advantage of in this game. They missed some big opportunities to make some plays down the field with some open throws, or some throws that would have been big plays. They were probably a little bit more of some contested balls, but man, that's a pretty telling stat right there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, my gosh, 35% tight window throws. That's crazy. And then everything you're talking about, the running game, my gosh.
Yeah, what's an interesting one I just saw here in this game was that, and let me make sure this is from today, because sometimes it's not. But anyway, yeah, this comes from Derrick Henry's totals. Henry totaled 25 carries for 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a plus 45 rushing yards over expected. Henry forced 12 missed tackles today, the second most in a game by any player this season. Henry totaled 10 carries for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns when facing 8-plus defenders in the box, generating a positive EPA on 7 carries at 70%. The Cowboys defense totaled 17 missed tackles against the Ravens, more than they did in weeks 1 and 2 combined, which was 15. The Cowboys also allowed 158 yards due to their missed tackles, the most of any game by a defense this season.
Wow. The missed tackles, I mean, that is brutal. Very, very
That
telling.
one guy created 12 of them.
Derrick Henry's a load, man.
He is.
He is. He's still got it. It's amazing how effective he still is at this stage of his career. 25 carries, 151 yards, couple of touchdowns for Derrick Henry. All right, let's get back to the phones, 877-881-1053. I know a lot of you have been waiting. I'll try and get to the ones that have been waiting the longest here. Let's go to our buddy Jim in Round Rock. Jim, what's going on, brother?
Hey, fellas. How y'all doing this evening? Well, I don't think our coaches are helping us out one bit. I think McCarthy, you come out of the gate when you get that ball, you're running a script. You know this. I mean, you're running the plays that you think you have the best opportunity to execute on. And they were a bunch of turd blossoms out there. And listen, Brian, I know he's your friend, but Zimmer ain't worth crap.
No, he's doing a poor job. There's no question about it. Yep.
It's just awful. And I was very excited when we hired him. Of course, I was thrilled after week 1. But
sure,
dude, I'll tell you, he just these guys missing tackles. I mean, we're going backwards. We're not. Yeah. We're worse this week than we were last week. And I think there's attitude and effort problems out there from those guys. If you can't, I mean, listen, you teach little kids when you tackle, you run through the tackle. You don't reach. I saw more arms reaching out there, bouncing off, pinging around, and yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. I tell you, I think it's a team loss. I don't think there's anybody, including the owner, stepping up to make his team any better. And I'm pretty pissed off about it. And I don't care. I'll root for him. I love this team. Walchuk, I'll die sooner than you, but I'll be a Cowboy fan till I die. And I'm sick of looking at crap on the screen. I'm tired of it. And they need to get better. And they are the ones that can get better. They can listen. I listened to that post-game show up in Philadelphia after they lost last week. Let me tell you something. Our fans, hey, we're a bunch of wimps down here. We need to call a spade a spade. They need to get their asses in gear. Up there, they don't tolerate nothing.
Yep.
We tolerate too much crap. And, you know, I mean, the only thing that we got better than them was we got better sports talk radio. Ours is the best, and that's probably why I love the Cowboys so much. But by God, this crap's got to get gear. I'm serious. I know they listen to this stuff over there, and they worry about it. But let me tell you what's going to happen. If they don't get this thing cleaned up, all you're going to have buying tickets or getting tickets in that place are the opposing fans, because all the season ticket holders are going to be selling off their tickets to make their money, which I wouldn't blame them one bit. But let me tell you something. Our crowd did stick around today, but they got to get this crap cleaned up. And
I appreciate the call, Jim. Yeah, I mean, passionate, and I feel that. I mean, I feel where he's coming from. It's just the standard's higher, and on the field, I mean, yeah, it certainly is something that they got a lot to work on. They do. I don't know that the personnel is there defensively to be able to fix the running game issues. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Probably especially with some of the things they're doing with Michael Parsons right now.
Yeah, I mean,
trying to figure that out, and hey, I mean, going into this game after what you saw with the Saints, you knew there was going to be struggles. I mean, I think they ran the ball 48 times out of 60 plays today. That's you knew that's going to be if you're the Giants on Thursday night, short week, what are you going to do? I mean, hell, I haven't watched any Giants tape yet, but I wouldn't. If I was Brian Daboll, I wouldn't do anything but think about running the ball. I know he's got Malik Neighbors, who's a pretty good player, So, but
it seems like Malik Neighbors is their offense right now.
Malik Neighbors is their offense, but they got a quarterback that can also run.
They do.
To all of a sudden you want to see some. Now Daniel Jones ain't Lamar Jackson, but if you're going to run RPO stuff and you're going to freeze Micah Parsons from it, by all means, I would sure try.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification along the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan.
Go low, baby.
KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
An Odyssey sports station.
All right, let's keep the phones going. Let's go to Scott in Jersey.
Hey, guys, what's going on? Thank you for the call. It was a bad game today. Again, I think we have gotten out-coached offensively and defensively. But my real question is to Brian is, since Sean Lee, or maybe, I don't know when, but our middle linebacker has not been a dominant force which will stop the run. What is our next position to get a linebacker that will stop the run? Thank you for the call, and tough loss tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the linebackers, we thought.
I really believed that the linebackers were going to be difference makers, and I'll have to look. I mean, I seriously want to get up tomorrow morning at 5:45 and watch this and do the autopsy. And because last week linebackers fighting blocks, if it's this week linebackers fighting blocks, I'll tell you that. If it's linebackers being a step slow, not getting where they need to be, they don't respect your defensive linemen. They just run blockers up on your guys. And a lot of this could be that the linebackers just didn't want to tackle, Derrick Henry tonight too, and then the confusion of having to deal with the quarterback that was running. But I'm going to do the autopsy in the morning and figure out exactly where that's at, because if I see linebackers overrunning plays or missing tackles and all that, then you've got some bigger problems. I think the linebackers in the front seven could actually. We're going to be difference makers when it came to playing the run.
All right, let's keep the phone calls rolling. Who else do we got here? Let's move over to Brad in Arlington. Brad, how you doing?
Brad.
All right, Brad. Let's move on to Ron in Garland. Ron, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Good evening, guys. Hey, it's hard to follow that guy's lead from Round Rock on the pissed-off meter.
because I'm pretty well up there with him. But they just played just sucky today, man. And like I was telling your screener a long while back, they haven't had an impact defensive tackle in I don't know how long. And the last one they had, I think it was back in the early 2000s. His name was Josh Brent, and he was a monster. And that was the last time they had anybody, you know. And if you're not plugging up the middle, yeah, sure, Micah Parsons and D. Ware, they're not going to get a whole lot of pressure. You got to have push in the middle every time, you know. And I was watching the Eagles today, and Kellen Moore. It just reminded me so much of some of the plays when he was calling for Dallas here. Just the same stuff. But yeah, I just, you know, it's just day in, day out, and you know what? Thank y'all for calling Jerry Jones out for sure about getting this stuff done, because when is the last time we've had a good impact player? And then when we have them, like Amari Cooper or who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. Randall Cobb. You know, that made an impact. You know, that could really help the team. They don't re-sign them, or they're going to stay here a year and then they don't re-sign them. You know, it's just ridiculous. I mean, that's why you don't keep anybody, and Dak doesn't have weapons half the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's one of those things where, like, and some disagree. I still think Brandon Cooks is a good player. Did he drop that ball in the end zone today? Sure did. He also did find a way to work himself open for what would have been a third down conversion on an out route that went over his head, and then beat Brandon Stevens for what could have been a touchdown that was just a little bit overthrown as well. I think there's plenty of times when we've looked at the film after games over the last year plus now and seen Brandon Cooks is doing his job. He's still a good route runner. He can still get open. Tolbert, I think, has shown flashes the last 2 days. They could improve and be more talented and help Dak out. And I think today, look, Dak's running for his life a lot with that offensive line. Did I particularly think Dak played his best game today? No. Through three quarters, there's a reason you're down. The offense couldn't do anything. I've defended him and said, hey, he's also not being helped at all by the sideline and the play calling. But the quarterback also, when you're staring down and forcing a ball to Jake Ferguson and it's incomplete, I mean, the sack that almost – you got to get rid of that football sooner.
Yeah.
I mean, there's almost a holding call in the end zone. Like, it's okay to be a little bit critical here. All of it needs to improve. But I don't think that the talented receiver like Brandon Cooks, to me, maybe I'm too high on Brandon Cooks. Maybe I need to reevaluate that. I don't know what you think.
No, I mean, I felt like today that Brandon Cooks was going to have a big game. I kind of felt like that they were going to match him up on Stevens and on the, you know, and really take advantage of him. And there was a couple of different times where, you know, I felt like that they took some shots and, you know, it didn't work out for them. But there was some plays to be made, and you know, the quarterback missed some throws, and you know, but you expect that he's, you know, and it's not about money, but it's about, you know, your better players, and he's one of your better players, and when he doesn't execute, then, you know, you get what you get with their offense. And like I say, I don't think that Mike McCarthy particularly, you know, it's just such a struggle to move the ball with this group.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because of the young offensive linemen and the lack of the running game, and maybe you don't get separation off the outside, and maybe the quarterback isn't always as accurate as he needs to be. But they have to almost be damn perfect before they can move the ball. I mean, they get down the red zone, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on here? You know, and you get down to third down, and you're like, boy, I didn't particularly like that call on third down, but boy, you know, somehow they pulled it off, or, you know, it just seems very, very disjointed at times. It really, really does.
All right, 877-881-1053. We'll try to get to a couple more calls if we can. We'll also wrap things up with our player of the game. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Whether you're in the courtroom or on the field, winning matters. As a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys,
by Ford. Your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
Snap back to Prescott. Down the middle, caught at the 5-yard line by Turpin, and he fights his way down to the 1-yard line.
KaVontae Turpin, what a really good fourth quarter for him. And he is our player of the game today. He had that big play to get the Cowboys in scoring range that ended up being the Dak Prescott 1-yard run, and then the 16-yard touchdown to make it 28-25. KaVontae Turpin, 3 catches on 3 targets, 51 yards in that touchdown, the long of 23. He is our player of the game, brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use what the pros use? Jack Black is the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. Zach Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Brian Broaddus. Got about 10 minutes left with you. And then we'll be back with you, of course, on Thursday night. Short week as the Cowboys will head to the Meadowlands to take on the New York Giants, whom they've really owned in recent years. But you never know. The NFL is a strange lady, as somebody used to tell me, Brian.
Yeah, that's. I should have made a T-shirt for that.
You really should have.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that last year. But the T-shirts they're printing. They're printing soon.
I hope so. If somebody wants to send Zach and I a couple of T-shirts to say the NFL's a strange lady, I'd love that. We'll take
them.
Yeah.
Before we get maybe to our last caller or two, let's hear from DeMarcus Lawrence after this one.
The way the game played out, I mean, off to a bad start, down big early.
Yeah, terrible start. It all falls on our shoulders as the defense. But it doesn't matter how much willpower you have at the end. If you don't start good, most likely you're not going to finish good. So the outcome is the outcome. The only thing we can do is, go and review it and get better from it.
Frustrating to be beaten again at home.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. I mean, of course it's frustrating. If you don't love the game, it won't be frustrating. But, I know the men in this room love the game. That's why you've seen the difference in the, second half of cleaning up, our mistakes in the first half. So, we just got to put it all together, come together as a team and, get back on track.
What makes it so frustrating? Excuse me.
The losing, not having our stuff together on defense where we're playing 11-man football. It's all frustrating. Having a game plan but not following the game plan. It's just small things. So, once we get out of playing Little League football and get back to playing pro football, we'll be all right.
How do you fix the run?
Play pro football. Do what your coaches teach you to do. Play your gaps, play your blocks, stay in your gap. And I'm included in this. I'm not discouraged from this at all. And it's, just the small things that we got to get back to, and we'll do it this week.
You've heard Tank there, accountability on his part, but I mean, it does seem, and I hear the frustration in his voice. Like it matters to Tank. He's not happy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the reoccurring theme is, play your gaps, do your job, right? No hero ball. Micah was talking hero ball. All 11 men. I mean, Tank was pretty
talking about the game plan again.
Yeah, the game plan, and then don't play Pee Wee football, play NFL football.
Yeah. That's tough. I mean, when they keep talking about, the theme I was hearing on offense was preparation and doing, what you needed to do to, getting ready for games and stuff. And then, your defensive players are talking about game plans and playing the game plans and playing in the gaps and, doing what you're supposed to, coaches are teaching to do. Hard to win games. Hard to win games when that seems to be, and we're all focusing on things other than that. The preparation that goes into these things, not playing hero ball. They said that, so I don't know. I think that's a very telling thing these players are starting to say coming from Dak and then also coming from Tank.
All right, let's go out, try and get at least one last call in. Randy's been waiting a long time in California. Randy, thank you so much for your patience. You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, definitely. I've definitely been waiting a long time. Hey, Brian, I want to call you. I want to say something. You've been watching tape for the past 2 weeks. Has Chris Godwin been an ace on special teams for you? I know you're going to catch flack for that, but I want to hear your take on it. The number two. I know during training camp, Turpin was playing in the backfield. You saw that type of stuff. Did you ever see him in a situation where he's playing like in a bunch formation where he's not getting pressed on the line. So I know that really helped us in last year against the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, that's about it, and I'll let you guys go at it. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. You want to go back down the CJ? I side with you here. I mean, you had me watching him specifically on a couple.
You know what?
units.
I'm sure there's somebody driving home right now from the stadium that doesn't want to hear me talk about Goodwin. You know, really, they don't. It's to me, you know, and I asked you, I'm like, you know, I said, watch this.
Argue.
Just watch and tell me if I'm wrong about this. And you know, the player has to be able to get in front of the guy, block, you know, and his guy's down first every single time. And every time that Turpin has to catch the ball, his guy's right there. And you know, and then they re-kick, and same thing happens. I'm not gonna. I sound like that. I'm beating up the guy, hating the guy. I'm just, and that's the furthest thing from their problems. You know, that is the furthest thing from their problems. You know, but that's, I just, you know, you think about corners and having corners and what they can do and how they special teams players. If he was a rare special teams player, I can understand that. We've seen rare special teams players around here.
Yeah, and for I think for a while he has been, but maybe it's father time. It gets us all. I mean, that's one I couldn't really argue. I wanted to watch and be like, "Nah, you're an idiot," but I couldn't do that. You know,
I wasn't trying to draw you into the fight. I just said, please. Watch that gunner on the block on the right side.
I'm in enough of a fight. I'm getting it from all angles, man.
Okay.
You know, you point out when the team's down 28-6 that I think everything's been a dumpster fire, but I can't exactly absolve the quarterback either. And then it's just like, oh, you're hating on the quarterback. The truthers know that's not how I feel.
I hate to say this, but those folks there can ruin your day.
Yeah, they can.
They can ruin your day.
They can. But I still love you, and I love this team. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get one last call before we bid adieu after this 28-25 Ravens win over our Cowboys. Let's go to Aaron in Buffalo. Aaron, I know you were bitching to be bitching previously, but how you doing tonight?
Well, at the end of the day, you know, we played pretty well. We came back. We made a good fight, but no. And seriously, since 2019, we haven't stopped the run. It sucks. Same situation.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Yeah. They have been. It hasn't been a team that's particularly been good against the run, and all the darts they're throwing at that defensive tackle position just hasn't really. They spent a first-round pick. They spent a premium draft asset on, and I think Mozzie, we're going to go back, and I think tomorrow you might be saying he played his best game.
I hope you're right. I hope you're absolutely right.
Now, that still might not be great football.
Yeah, the play he made the sidelines to run, and he's capable of stuff like that. Hell, he was capable like that in Michigan. That's why they drafted him. But clearly, they've thrown a lot of things at that defensive tackle spot, and it just hasn't worked out like they thought it would. They've thrown draft picks. We've talked about that with the Bohannas, the Ridgeways, the Mozzie Smiths. They've thrown, they've tried. They've tried to have defensive tackle. Hankins, they traded for Hankins. Let him walk. And hell, people are like, geez, you miss Hankins. Well, hell, Green Bay ran the damn ball when Hankins was in there. There's something fundamentally more than just defensive tackle play here. Could be the linebacker play, could be the corner play, could be the safety play. There's a lot of people that need to be evaluated here for their run defense.
Rest of the division today, Giants got a road win in Cleveland against the Browns, 21-15.
Cleveland must be a bad team.
Yeah, Cleveland found a way to get a win last week. They now fall to 1-2. Giants improved to 1-2. Amari Cooper had himself a good day for the Browns. 7 catches, 86 yards, and a touchdown. But Devin Singletary, 65 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And Daniel Jones, 236 yards, a couple of touchdowns. Two of them to Malik Neighbors, both of them. Malik Neighbors touchdowns.
He's going to be a tough cover.
That's going to be probably the talking point leading up on this short week to Thursday is how do you contain Malik Neighbors? Because he seems like he is really the straw that stirs the drink for the New York Giants offense.
Very good. Yep, there's some people that had him better than our guy at Arizona.
You don't say.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
I
know. I might be sitting next to one of those guys.
It's not an LSU thing. I just thought he was a better player.
Neighbors I was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if it wasn't for Harrison Jr., he would have been a unanimous number one, and I don't think it's a bad take. They're both fantastic, in my opinion.
They're good players.
Rams came back and beat the 49ers today, Brian.
Bet payouts for you and I this week.
27-24.
On Friday,
Yeah, that's not fun.
Eagles, that's 3 in a row for me, by the way.
Yeah, it is. I probably should have immediately not picked the 49ers with you when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles are able to come back, rally, and beat the Saints 15-12. A 61-yard catch from Dallas Goedert set up a Saquon Barkley go-ahead touchdown run, and then a great interception from Reed Blankenship on Derek Carr sealed the deal for the Eagles.
Somebody told me that the Eagles started the game in a 46 front, where they covered the old Buddy Ryan 46 front, where they covered the center and the 2 guards and played defense that way. I'm going to go back and look at that. That's how they controlled the Zimmer played some 5-2 last week. We talked about that. But the Eagles went to some old Buddy Ryan 46 to try and play some run defense here.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles' defense was fantastic. They certainly made the Saints' offense look like a shell of themselves, only putting up 12 points, 15-12. And then the Lions over the Cardinals, 20-13. Of course, tomorrow we got the Commanders taking on the Bengals. That's a doubleheader on Monday Night Football tomorrow night. But big shout-out to everyone who's been a part of this one. If we weren't able to get to your calls, I'm so sorry. Appreciate you staying up with us. Try call back next week. That'll be on Thursday, not even a week away. Just short week. It's going to be a party. Shout out to Peyton Russell. Awesome job, as always. Kevin Walker back there. Justin Honoré, I'm assuming, was working there as well. Chris Strong. We love you, Chris. We got Ruben Portillo here handling, and, of course, Brian Broaddus. Brian, you're the man. I love you. Until next week, it'll be Cowboys-Giants Thursday Night Football. It'll be a 4 o'clock pregame. Post will go until 1 a.m. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey Cowboys fans, the Bahamas is calling. Start planning your ultimate getaway today at bahamas.com/Cowboys.